Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matt. I am the American-Canadian Gamer, and today I want to talk to you about the DMR. Now, before this video gets underway, I'm going to make a quick little disclaimer. I was going to use this as a daily live commentary, so in the beginning, I'm commentating, and eventually, I just gave up on it because it wasn't going very well, and then everything goes perfect, so you'll see a big difference when I stop commentating and how I play. It's extraordinary how much of a difference commentating makes on your play style. So those of you who have been wondering how commentating does affect how you play in a game, this will give you a good indication of what happens, and I will tell you when I stop commentating. Now, back to the topic at hand, I want to talk about the DMR. Now, the DMR, since the weapon tuning update, has been a weapon that a lot of people have been complaining about. They've been saying, oh, the DMR is useless now. It's too weak compared to the battle rifle. The battle rifle is too good. The battle rifle does too much damage compared to it. The carbine's better. The automatics are better at closer ranges. The DMR just can't do anything, and at long range, the light rifle beats it. What's the point of the DMR now? Well, I completely disagree with that, but I do understand the sentiment. Because it's easy to see why you think that, because the DMR doesn't really match up to the battle rifle in close range, and it doesn't really match up to the the light rifle at long range. It's just not as powerful as it used to be. And the reason that 343 didn't nerf the DMR or change the DMR in very intense ways in the update was because it's such a widely used weapon. They didn't want to mess with that consistency with the player base. That's why all the other weapons got buffed, and the DMR barely saw any changes whatsoever. Now, the DMR is much weaker than it used to be, and I'm not going to deny that. The DMR is much less effective of a weapon, but it is far from useless. It really is a far from useless weapon. And the way that I've come to learn to use the DMR is to use it more of a support style weapon. Okay, here's where I'm getting ready to stop commentating. We'll jump back to the subject in a bit, because I get this damage boost, and I completely fail with it. I waste this thing. I miss all these shots. I have a damage boost. You saw me stop moving. So, at this point, I've stopped commentating, and I've just started concentrating on the match, just going to play it out from this point forward. But anyways, the DMR, I've started using more in a supportive, laid-back kind of role. This match, I'm a little more aggressive than I really should be, because I'm actually doing well, and I kind of have that confidence to be a little bit more aggressive, because these players aren't exactly the best in the world to play against. They are a little worse. They should have been taking me down a lot more than they do. But it does show that the DMR is very effective when used at kind of a support kind of role, where you kind of stay back and you lay down fire and you help out your team in that sense when you're playing from a distance. And it actually does have its own range niche when you think about it. The DMR gets beat at mid and closer ranges by the battle rifle, carbine, and at close range by the automatics, and it gets beaten at long range by a scoped light rifle. Now, the unscoped light rifle is kind of a match for it, but it has less aim assist, so the DMR beats it in that sense. But a scoped light rifle beats it. But there are some instances where you can't use a scoped light rifle because the map isn't large enough, but the map is just large enough to where the DMR is a very effective weapon. Maps like Shutout, Simplex, those are very, very good DMR maps. And Abandon as well, when you're putting fire on the beach from the tower where I am now, is a very, very good way to use the DMR. It makes it a really good weapon. And I have said this since the weapon update was announced and we got the details of it, and I stick to exactly what I said. The DMR has gone from being the dominant weapon to a jack-of-all-trades weapon. This weapon can do everything, but it's not the master of anything. It is a jack-of-all-trades, but master of none. It can fight at close, medium, and long range, but when you get within the effective ranges of the weapons you're fighting against, you're going to have a harder time. But you have more flexibility. That flexibility comes at a cost of power, but a lot of times, flexibility and versatility can mean the difference between a win and a loss. It lets you change your game up on the fly. Normally, when someone wants to change how they play in Halo, they swap loadouts when they die. With the DMR, you can literally do that from one kill to the next. If you're having trouble beating people that are using battle rifles and assault rifles, you can back up a little bit and play the range game and force them to fight outside of their comfort zone. And if you're fighting people that are really using scoped light rifles to a very effective degree, or sniper rifles, you can get close where they have a harder time and still take them out in that close range combat. It lets you adapt to a much greater degree, And to be honest, it's really not as weak as you really think it might be. It only takes one more shot than the battle rifle to kill. That's still 5 shots, and that's still pretty quick. Here's my last death of the game, by the way. I walk up melee this guy, and he sticks me. Of all things, he sticks me. If you watch any of my videos, you know how much I despise that. But back to the topic at hand. The DMR is a really, really, really solid weapon, really reliable, really consistent, and really underrated at this point. And you'll see that I'm also getting a lot of kills with the bolt shot. I will say that if you do take the DMR on smaller maps and where there's no vehicles, a bolt shot is your best bet to take, because you will on occasion need that high power close range kill. You will occasionally need that. And I do think the bolt shot makes a very good companion for the DMR in that sense, because when you get ambushed by an assault rifle or something else that you have no chance of fighting because they got the jump on you, having that backup insta-kill is a very, very, very good thing to have. It really is, and I really do suggest taking that. Now, this match here is about to end. This match, we get a couple more kills, I think. It's just about to end right now. Yeah, this guy right here is the very last kill of the game. And then these guys rage quit. All 4 of them, they're gone. Look, all 4 of them left. We only have 420 points. We didn't win. I'm 23-4, and we didn't even win this match yet. Okay, here's a completely different match on Simplex right now, which is a very good DMR map. That guy, I feel so sorry for him. He ran for that overshield and just got dropped right away. That poor fellow. This map really shows a good way to use the DMR. This match doesn't go as well as the one I just showed you, but it still showcases what I want to talk about, and that's how the DMR can play differently. And in the majority of this match, I sit up in these upper areas, and I lay down range fire on the enemy team, and I let my team be the one to run around and push them and assault them and just harass them in general, while I stay back and take pot shots at them, clean up kills, weaken them, and just give them something else to worry about. Because the DMR is a weapon where you definitely can no longer be aggressive with it. Prior to this title update, the DMR was a weapon that you could use as a very aggressive pushing weapon or as a very laid-back camping weapon. It was a perfect weapon for every scenario. Could it be beaten by other weapons? Yes, it could be. The battle rifle was a solid match for it in close ranges, the carbine kind of was, and the automatic weapons could beat it at really close range. In fact, you can see I almost beat that guy, though, right there. But I missed my shots. You do have to be able to hit a good 5-shot with the DMR. I can't hit a perfect 5-shot all the time, but when you get the 5 shots down, you really do feel how it does have a good amount of power behind it. But like I was saying, you can't be overly aggressive with this weapon. You need to stay back, and you definitely cannot chase. I make that mistake big time later on. I chase after a guy, I leave my position, and it leaves me open. I get slaughtered by everyone around me because I jumped down into the kill box, chased after a guy, and just got destroyed. It was horrible. So you cannot chase with the DMR. You really shouldn't, especially when people can just sprint away if they have mobility. They can get away really far, they can let their shields recharge, and they may come back with a much more powerful weapon than yours and be able to drop you very quickly. But you see, I'm just staying up here, taking pot shots, just biding my time. I'm not chasing, I'm not worrying about anything really, just taking kills as I can get them, keeping an eye on what's going on. I'm letting my teammates take the overshield. I almost grabbed that because I didn't think anybody was going to go for it, and then I saw that feller go and grab it, so I was like, you know, I'll let him have the overshield. I let them have the power-ups so they can move around the map, because an overshield will do me no good sitting up here just taking pot shots. All that'll happen is the overshield will just drain, and then it'll be wasted. So I'm just going to sit up here and throw bad grenades the whole time. And I'm probably going to repeat this again. The DMR is not an aggressive weapon anymore. It really, really isn't. You really cannot use it in that manner. I know I'm stressing it quite a bit, but it's because it's very, very true. And here's where I make the mistake. I hit this guy, I see he's really hurt, and I run down here to chase after him. This was stupid of me. I should not have done this. And right up here, this guy starts hitting me, and then I get torn apart by everything around me. I got completely annihilated because I left my secured position. I got out of an area where I wasn't effective. You need to stay where you're effective. If you're, like I said, if you're fighting against people with battle rifles and assault rifles, you need to stay back from them where you can force them to play on your terms, where you see them coming, where you can get the first shot, where you can disrupt their aim, and where you're forcing them to scope in and throwing their shots off. If you force them to scope in and they don't have stability or anything, and you're at a better advantage with your range, like how am I going to say this? When they have to scope in, they have a weaker scope than you. They have a 2x scope, you have a 3x. If you zoom in where your 3x scope is effective, but their 2x really isn't, where they don't have their aim assist, then you're going to do a lot of work against them because, one, they're scoping in, so every time you hit them, their aim is going to bounce, and two, they don't have aim assist functionality. So you are at a really big disadvantage in that sense. But then when you're fighting snipers and light rifles on big team battle or any kind of large map, you need to get in closer and use your standard fire to your advantage, because the light rifle will only really destroy you when they're scoped in. The light rifle can still beat you unscoped, but like I said, the light rifle doesn't have the same aim assist functionality. It's not as easy to use from the hip as the DMR is. And right here, I just completely whiff all those shots. That's kind of embarrassing, but that's the nature of it. That's what happens. So you really do just need to adapt and just play slow. Play slow. Understand that there are going to be times when you're just going to die just because, and just don't get overly aggressive. The DMR is such a good weapon. It's such a consistent weapon, and it's so underrated. People don't expect it to do well at all. And you can really surprise some people when you just beat them using your DMR, and they're like, I have a battle rifle, I can take this guy, and then you beat them. And one of the key things actually to doing that is your strafing. Strafing is really, really important with the DMR now. Much, much more so than ever. Strafing really actually wasn't all that important until the title update happened and the weapon changes took place. Strafing now is super, super important in the base game, like it was in the Halos previous, and I'm not going to go into details about strafing here. I'm actually going to put a little annotation here. Naked Eli did a very, very good strafing guide talking about strafing, and he's a very high skill player, someone who knows so much more about it than me. So when this video is over, click the annotation down in the bottom, and you can go watch Naked Eli's strafing video. It's so much better than anything that I could tell you, and it's really helped me increasing my strafing abilities, and I'm actually... Lately, I've been able to use the DMR to actually combat battle rifles and carbines in closer ranges and actually beat them because I can't outstrafe them. My weapon is consistent, I know how it works, and I know what I'm doing against the enemy. Now, granted, within the battle rifle's effective range, 2 players of equal skill, the battle rifle will generally win 9 out of 10 times. And if the battle rifle user is better than you, they're probably going to beat you no matter what you do. So you need to keep that in mind, that you are going to be at a disadvantage in different situations, and you need to understand that. And you need to make sure that you don't get yourself into those situations where the DMR is not very effective. You need to stay out of those. You need to keep in your comfort zone and keep where you know you'll be effective. And maybe that just means staying back, calling out power weapons, calling out enemies, calling out one-shots for your team, putting pot shots on them. And maybe for you that also means moving with your team but staying at the back of the pack, taking shots, cleaning up kills, all that good stuff. It could mean multiple different things for you. And now, right now, I'm running out of time. Right now, this match is coming to a close, so I'm just going to kind of wrap it up here. The DMR is not useless. The DMR, yes, is much weaker than it used to be, but it is far from useless. If you haven't tried the DMR since the title update happened, I suggest give it a shot. You might be pleasantly surprised by how powerful the weapon actually is. But I'm out of time. This match is drawing to a close, so if you did like this video, please like, favorite, subscribe, share it, all that good jazz. And we're going to end with this match with me getting teabagged by 3 different people. I wouldn't have it any other way. So, as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matt, and I'll see you next time.